Nobody cares when a man finds his woman under a bridge.
No, I live for Stedman, but you know that Stedman has for many decades been the butt of jokes.
Yeah, because of gender rules.
Yes.
People feel like because she's Oprah Winfrey, who did y'all want her to be with, Barack Obama? That doesn't make sense, guys. I mean, I feel like that's the weird thing about powerful women, what we're left with. So I'm supposed to find love, but he's got to have a certain amount of money, but at the same time, I got to still be like, guys, what's going on here? Why am I? Nobody cares when a man finds his woman under a bridge. No one cares.
No one
cares. And I frankly don't care if that's who you love. That's who you love. Why do we have to deal with that?
Yes.
That to me makes no sense. I ain't never look. My daddy told me a man needs to treat you right. He needs to handle and service you in whatever way you need service. Let me tell you one thing that Keke don't need.
Money.
From nobody. Now, if you want to give a little something and get my nails done, something cute,
but
I'm fine
shouldn't
with
they do
it.
that? But shouldn't they make that effort,
Yeah.
Keke?
But you might still look like Stedman to the world, and that's a great role.
Because
if I was married to, I was with Oprah Winfrey.
Right. You just be sitting up there waiting.
Chilling.
Yeah,
and Stedman, by the way, Stedman's esteemed.
Yeah.
Stedman has a whole career. He's just not Oprah.
Yeah.
So the fact that how dare people compare you to your lover?
Yeah.
I hate that Oprah had to endure that.
Yeah, exactly.
I hate that she had to endure that.
It's
and I
true.
hate that Stedman had to endure that. And that's why I said what I said, because you had a good role. You were supposed to be my Stedman.
Yes.
Come on.
He was.
When I played that for my dad said, yeah, because why did he want to be Stedman?
Basically just said that as long as the man brings support, peace, security, his check ain't gotta be bigger. Internet don't like that. They want to complain and argue instead of just taking in the message and realizing that love can be, a thing that you grow from and desire, and it doesn't have to be a monetary gain to be in a relationship with somebody. But you already know, man, people had things to say. Let's go ahead and head over to the comment. Demanding every man to be a high earner is the same thing as demanding every woman look like a supermodel. She told no lies. I'm going with who treats me the best. Trying to justify dating someone herself probably should have left under a bridge is why people need to stop listening to dating advice on podcasts. Stedman is a CEO for a lucrative management marketing firm and made way more money than Oprah during the period of their relationship. Do not sleep on Stedman. So, in conclusion, what's really important? Is it the money or the man's mindset? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like, comment, share, follow. If you see things like this, don't forget to tag me, OTR Blog Z. Thank you, guys.
But see, the sad thing is there is a big difference, right? There's just a big difference that we all have to acknowledge, that she herself has to acknowledge. She is the same one that went on stage to dance with Usher, and Usher did some things that Darius, who had some issues with you going on stage, looking how you look and doing what you're doing. And he's saying, man, listen, like, man, you have to, like, nah, man, this is like, you got to have some respect, right? You got to have some respect around here, man, especially for me, and being that I'm an average man, because if I'm pretty sure she was dating a Future or she's dating a guy of certain status, she's not doing that. But of course, because this is your average guy, a lot of you women will chuck this up as, well, she's out here doing her job. She's just out here trying to get paid. Yada, yada, yada. She's the one that's bringing in all of the money. And it's just the sad reality is there'll always be a difference in the respect factor. If a man is making tons and tons and tons of money and you just got your average woman, like she said, nobody would care if he pulls her from right up under the bridge. They will do any and everything to make sure they are not disrespecting this man. Y'all see what Cassie's doing with Diddy. Y'all saw, man, what Joy 50 Cent baby mama did with Diddy. They were willing to do so much for this man because he was of a certain status. But when you're talking about these women who have tons and tons of money and they're dealing with your average guy, or they feel like they have more status than that guy, that relationship dynamic is very different, which is why a lot of your women want to deal with a man who is on par with them, if not way better than them. And that's generally speaking way better than them. When you look at your Kendra G's of the world, right? When you look at your Kendra G show, you look at a lot of those women don't even make a lot of money, but they want a man who is a high earner, who makes 100K, who makes the freaking 600K, 300K, 200K, but they're not giving any room to your average men. And that's the issue. right? And that's the issue. But as I stated before, acknowledge the difference, because even as an average man, just put yourself in an average man's shoes. Why would you want to deal with a woman that is of Keke Palmer status that's going to do what she did to Darius? Like, once again, you run the risk of dealing with that. Now, granted, it seems like Keke Palmer is well grounded. She's not going to be thinking like how most of your other women are thinking, how most of your other celebrities are thinking. But the overall fact is that, ma'am, you're just a victim of your own success as well. And this is why a lot of your men say, don't deal with your career-driven women. Don't deal with women, man, who makes way more money than you, who has a bigger status than you, because all you're going to do is just run into disrespect every single time, because she doesn't look at you as her equal. She look at you as somebody that's beneath her. And then she tries to say this man put hands on her. I don't know the full story, right? But I'm assuming she tried to put hands on this man, and she claimed that this man put hands on her, and then he comes out with a video. I mean, it was just disgusting. It was just nasty. But there will always be a big difference from a man who makes tons of money and dealing with a woman who doesn't make as much, versus a woman who makes tons of money and dealing with a man who does not make as much. I mean, look at the comments. Somebody says, I notice other races don't have this banter back and forth, because once again, they're not going to go out their way to disrespect the very man that is a average guy. Like, that's just a fact. You look at how Taylor Swift treats Travis Kelce. No disrespect anywhere. She dressed properly. She has respect for her man. When you deal with a lot of your sisters, especially ones who make tons and tons of money, they are out to disrespect their man. You don't believe me? Look at Jonathan Majors and Megan Good. For a lot of people will say, man, she runs that relationship. For a lot of people, they would say she runs that relationship. And then that little Michael Ealy situation that happened, where he then sat over and hugged Megan Good and all of this, but didn't even acknowledge Jonathan Majors, right? And of course, at the time that Jonathan Majors was going through the ish that he was going through, a lot of people looked at Megan Good as being here and Jonathan Majors being down here. But guess what? You're not going to get that in other races. Glorilla swears up and down she has a man, but look at some of the stuff that she say and do. At the end of the day, you're disrespecting the man. Whether we know who this man is or not, you're disrespecting him. Look at Lotto. She swears up and down she has a man. But guess what? Look at how she portrays herself. Look at some of the things that she does. Look at how she dressed. You do not respect that man. Sierra and Russell Wilson. A lot of people will say she runs that relationship. Look at how she dressed. If you're willing to come out here dressed, man, like you're about to go to a club and you're married and you're in your 40s and your 30s, like, what are we doing here? And if all of these examples that I've given you, these are women who are of high status, and a lot of people look at them to be way bigger than their man. And what is the common denominator? No respect. Then somebody else says, they made us hate ourselves and love their wealth. That's why shorties holler where the ball is at. Then somebody else says, she told no lies. I'm going with who treats me the best. And I'm pretty sure she would be the same woman that would be on your Kendra G show looking for a man who makes 100K, who makes way more money than she does. Like, come on. Then somebody else says, be with who wants you. The end. Then somebody else says, white women don't go on these podcasts having these discussions to belittle black men or white men. Then somebody else says, Stedman is a CEO for a lucrative management and marketing firm and made way more money than Oprah during a period of their relationship. Do not sleep on Stedman. Then somebody else says, even if the woman earns more money than her man, she should still know how to let him lead. Then somebody else says, you've done that, Keke, and all you got was 2-piece and a kid, right? So, I mean, hey, and this is what happens when you want to deal with a woman who makes way more money than you and who has a higher status than you, and she does not understand her role at the home. They don't know when to turn that stuff off. So, I mean, hey, man, this is just my opinion. Do me a huge favor, leave me a like, leave me a comment, subscribe to the channel. Let me know down below. What do y'all think?